Welcome to the DEFCAM. The recent incident originating from the Indian Amritsar Air Base, wherein 6 Indian Air Force fighter jets became airborne in a clear offensive posture, represents a critical and revealing moment in the ongoing strategic calculus of South Asia. This maneuver, which prompted an immediate and decisive response from the Pakistan Air Force, culminating in the scrambling of our indigenously developed JF-17 Thunder fighter aircraft and the tactical diversion of international air traffic from major hubs like Sialkot and Islamabad, was far more than a routine training exercise. It was a calibrated probe, a deliberate test of Pakistan's readiness and response times, intended to convey a multifaceted and aggressive message. The subsequent landing of the Indian jets without engaging in hostilities, upon realizing the swift and formidable Pakistani counterdeployment, exposes the underlying nature of this provocation. It was a political and psychological operation, not a prelude to an all-out war. This event is intrinsically linked to a broader, more insidious strategy being orchestrated from New Delhi, one that seeks to capitalize on regional instability and domestic political imperatives to force Pakistan into a debilitating two-front strategic dilemma. The architecture of this strategy is sophisticated and predicated on the exploitation of Pakistan's western frontier with Afghanistan. India's significant economic and political investments in Afghanistan have long been viewed through a strategic lens, aimed at creating a platform for strategic depth against Pakistan. The objective is to cultivate and sustain pressure along the Durand Line, thereby forcing Pakistan's armed forces and intelligence apparatus to perpetually divert substantial resources and attention to counterinsurgency and border management. This calculated instability on the Western Front is designed to serve as a force multiplier for India, effectively thinning out Pakistani defensive formations and creating a perceived vulnerability that could be exploited during a crisis on the eastern border. The tools for this strategy are not limited to diplomatic influence, but extend to the provision of financial support, military equipment, and intelligence cooperation with elements hostile to Pakistan's internal security. The intended signal is one of strategic encirclement, a modern-day pincer movement where Pakistan would find itself simultaneously grappling with a managed insurgency on one side and a conventional military threat on the other. The timing of this aggressive posturing, including the recent aerial provocation, is not coincidental but is deeply enmeshed with India's internal political dynamics. The skirmish of May 25th, a minor tactical engagement, has been magnified into a significant national narrative in India. For the political leadership in New Delhi, facing a pivotal electoral contest in the state of Bihar, the demonstrable projection of military strength and a hawkish stance towards Pakistan serves as a potent instrument for domestic mobilization. The rhetoric of revenge and the theatrical display of air power are designed for a domestic audience, transforming complex national security policy into a spectacle for electoral gain. This dangerous politicization of military readiness introduces a highly volatile and unpredictable variable into the already tense standoff between two nuclear-armed states. It suggests that decisions with potentially catastrophic consequences could be influenced by the short-term cycles of provincial politics rather than sober, strategic calculation, thereby significantly elevating the risk of miscalculation. The specific message transmitted by the Indian fighter jets from Amritsar was unambiguous. We possess the capability to initiate a rapid, punitive strike with minimal warning, and we are willing to exercise this option to keep you perpetually off balance. It was a demonstration of intent and capability, designed to gauge the latency and efficacy of Pakistan's integrated air defense network and its standard operating procedures for aerial threat containment. The immediate and flawless Pakistani response, however, fundamentally altered the narrative of that message. The swift scrambling of the JF-17 Thunder squadrons, a testament to the prowess of our indigenous defense production and the high state of alert of our pilots, served as a powerful countermessage. The tactical decision to divert civilian air traffic was a further demonstration of professional operational planning, ensuring the safety of international aviation while clearing the battle space for any potential engagement. India's subsequent decision to recall its aircraft without proceeding further was a tacit admission that the element of surprise was lost and that the cost of escalation, in the face of a fully alerted and capable Pakistan Air Force was unacceptably high. On the Western Front, the Pakistani strategy is one of proactive engagement and robust border management, effectively countering the Indian design to use Afghanistan as a perpetual source of instability. The relationship with the current regime in Kabul is not one of simplistic alignment, but a complex and pragmatic interaction focused squarely on core national security interests. Pakistan has undertaken monumental efforts to secure this frontier, most notably through the systematic construction of a sophisticated and extensive border fencing system along the Durand Line. This physical barrier, combined with a dense network of new border posts and the continuous deployment of rapid response forces, has drastically curtailed the ability of militant elements to infiltrate Pakistani territory. Furthermore, relentless intelligence-based counterterrorism operations have systematically degraded the infrastructure of terrorist networks within Pakistan. The notion that the western border presents a soft underbelly is an anachronistic one. It is an actively managed and heavily fortified frontier, and Indian attempts to leverage it are based on a fundamental misreading of the new operational reality. Simultaneously, Pakistan's posture on the eastern border with India remains one of unwavering vigilance and formidable, full-spectrum deterrence. The armed forces maintain a state of high readiness, with defensive corps and potent strike formations poised for a coordinated response to any aggression. Pakistan's strategic calculus has evolved beyond a purely defensive mindset. The development of a diverse and sophisticated arsenal of ballistic and cruise missiles, with ranges covering all strategic targets across India, constitutes the cornerstone of this credible deterrence. The doctrine is clear. Any major conventional aggression by India will not be contained within Pakistan's territory. The response will be swift, decisive, and will extend deep into Indian territory, targeting strategic centers of gravity to impose an unacceptable cost. This capability renders the very concept of a limited war or a surgical strike a dangerous illusion for Indian strategists. The possession of such a retaliatory capability ensures that the threshold for any large-scale military adventurism remains formidably high. In conclusion, the Indian strategy of seeking to engage Pakistan in a two-front conflict is a dangerous and fundamentally flawed construct, divorced from the strategic and military realities on the ground. The recent aerial provocation from Amritsar, while tactically revealing, strategically backfired by showcasing Pakistan's impeccable readiness and the futility of such coercive probes. Pakistan has demonstrated, through a combination of diplomatic agility, relentless counterinsurgency operations, and the maintenance of a robust conventional and strategic military force, that it is more than capable of managing multiple security challenges concurrently. The western border is being effectively secured through a combination of physical infrastructure and military resolve, while the eastern border is guarded by a military that is both a shield and a sword. The attempt to use the Afghan theater as a lever and domestic Indian politics as a catalyst for escalating tensions is a transparent and reckless gambit. Pakistan remains a responsible nuclear power committed to regional stability, but its commitment to its sovereignty is absolute. Any attempt to test this resolve, whether through aerial brinkmanship or proxy warfare, will be met with a calibrated, decisive, and overwhelming response, the consequences of which will redefine the security paradigm of the entire region. Thanks, and stay connected to the upcoming videos.